and they have the freedom to act the way they act, believe the way they believe. And though that is true to an extent, I think that this keeps a lot of people from closely scrutinizing tactics used in the churches, the way these church leaders are treating the members of their congregations. And so what I want to do is I want to take a look at some very common manipulation tactics and compare it to how people are being treated in the church, especially within the conservative and evangelical churches, and how Christian doctrine is being presented in a way that manipulates people into staying in the church, into staying faithful and never leaving. There are thousands and thousands of people that are leaving the Christian church having these shared experiences of having felt as though they experienced some sort of spiritual abuse that kept them from being able to be authentic, to be themselves, and to think freely. And so I want to address that today. People manipulate all of the time. All of us manipulate at some point or another. It's just kind of human nature. But I think that some manipulation can be much more harmful than other types of manipulation. There are definitely levels there. And so what I did is I found this article on WebMD. Now, WebMD can sometimes be unreliable. I think mostly it is reliable. And this is a medically reviewed article by an MD. So I do trust it. And after having read through it, I feel as though this is a really good list. I think all of these kind of hit some form of manipulation. Now, according to this article, manipulation is the exercise of harmful influence over others. People who manipulate others attack their mental and emotional sides to get what they want. The person doing the manipulating, called the manipulator, seeks to create an imbalance of power. They take advantage of you to get power, control, benefits, or privileges. I think a lot of times church leaders do manipulate their audiences, their congregation members, and I think a lot of times they do it unintentionally. Because a lot of times church leaders are they themselves victims of church abuse, spiritual abuse. It's all they know. They might have been raised in it. It's the only way of life that they know. And so they internalize it, they normalize it, and they perpetuate it. And so it's really difficult to kind of point fingers and say, all of these church leaders are being so intentionally manipulative and abusing their congregation members, because I think it's much more complex and nuanced than that. I think a lot of times people in the church are being manipulated by people that themselves were manipulated, and the cycle just continues. Deconstruction is all about breaking that cycle, being willing to step outside of that cycle and think for yourself and think more freely. So first up in the list is location advantage. It says, a manipulator will try to bring you out of your comfort zone and places that you are familiar with to have advantage over you. This can be any place that the manipulator feels ownership of or in control. And I'd say a church leader, that is their place of ownership and control. If a man, usually a man, says, I have been called by God to spread his word, he is speaking through me, and I have died to myself, and now Christ lives through me, and now everything I speak to you is directly from God, he's putting himself in a very high position of authority. He is essentially putting himself on the level of God, whether he wants to admit it or not. He is making himself God. When you get someone who is in a vulnerable position, which a lot of churches like to prey on the vulnerable, on single mothers, on young mothers, on those who have experienced addiction, on the homeless population. There are so many vulnerable populations that the church really likes to gravitate toward, because it's very easy to get someone who's in a vulnerable place, put them in a church, a place where most people see as this kind of this house of God. And you have a man who's claiming to speak for God, giving them this information in a very kind of authoritative way. That is location advantage. That is a way to manipulate people into hearing what you say and following what you say. When you are putting yourself in a position of authority in the house of God, bringing them into that place, appealing to their emotions and their vulnerabilities so that you can convince them of your specific brand or flavor of spirituality. Now, I'm not saying that every single person who brings someone else into a church is manipulating them, though I think that the situation itself breeds manipulation. It breeds emotional manipulation. And I think it's very important to just consider that as kind of a foundation when we're talking about manipulation in the church, because that right there is a very firm foundation in emotional manipulation. And then I think everything else is just kind of branch off of that. Next up, we have exaggeration and generalization. Manipulators exaggerate and generalize. They may say things like, no one has ever loved me. They may use vague accusations to make it harder to see the holes in their arguments. I'd say the way the church tends to generalize people is quite an exaggeration. If you've ever been in a hellfire and brimstone church, an evangelical church, you have likely heard this exaggeration from the pulpit. All people are sinners. Everyone is wicked at heart. Nobody has the ability to be good on their own. God needs to wash everyone's sins away because we are all born with this evil, sinful nature. Now, even if you don't go to an evangelical church that
wanting to have these relationships, how would you define a relationship as meaningful? Listen, Doc, I'm not really asking for all that much out of a relationship. Ideally, I'd just like it if the person's entire life revolved around me, that they obsessed over me, consulted me with decisions both major and minor, that they sincerely love me unconditionally regardless of how I interact with them, that they want nothing more than to be with me at all times, infinitely into the future, that they strictly follow all my rules and regulations, that they constantly praise me with complete and total adulation that is both strictly scheduled into their lives, including before eating and sleeping, and during an entire day set aside per week, and also done spontaneously at frequent intervals for matters both trivial and substantial, for which I receive all the credit if good, but none of the fault if bad, and that all of this is done with utmost dedication and enthusiasm regardless of whether or not I completely ignore them. You know, nothing major. I see. And you think that is a healthy relationship, do you? Of course. The healthiest. And do you want to have a sexual aspect to any of these relationships? Oh, no, nothing like that. I see. But I do want to have control over their sex lives. Okay, next, I need to know what you've already been doing to attain such relationships. Fingernails. Fingernails? Yeah. I pry off their fingernails. Why would you do such a thing? So that they'll do what I want and have a relationship with me. That won't actually have the intended effect, though. You see... No. I know. You're right. So I moved it up to bone breaking, eye gouging, etc. Eventually, I just settled on setting them on fire. But if you want people to have a relationship with you of their own volition, it cannot require such violent coercion. But it is of their own volition. Relationship or fire. Pick one. See? They have a choice. Is that really what you want? Is that sincerity? You want people to be scared into an extremely one-sided relationship in which you hold all the power? Yeah. Well, that's incredibly abusive, and if those are your expectations, then I'm afraid you simply cannot have a meaningful relationship, even as you define it. You, sure about that, Doc? You're gonna burn me unless I agree with you? Yeah. It's what I do. Okay, then, you're correct. If you want to have meaningful relationships, then just keep doing what you're doing. Good. Well, this was productive. Okay, so I guess our time is up for today. Just one more question. Oh? Would you be my friend? Well, patient-doctor relationship, impropriety and whatnot should probably keep things professional and... Wait. Doc, it's okay. Seeing you like this, I think I finally get it. You do? Yeah, it's okay. I know I've been going about this the wrong way. Oh, good. How about this? I'll have my son killed so that you can have a relationship with me. What? No, that's insane. No, it's okay. I'm the good guy. Okay, fine. I'll have a relationship with you. Great. Time to die, son. No, wait. I won't have a relationship with you. That's too bad. Time to die, son. No, wait. You're still gonna kill your son? Well, yeah, and you picked fire, so... Wait, I have to die too? Yeah. And my death won't save your son? No, he saves you by giving you the choice to pick me over fire. Why does there have to be any killing or any fire? You are the one coming up with this stuff. Just choose for there to not be any killing or any fire. You're the one with the choice. No, you're the one choosing fire. No, I don't. Who came up with fire? I guess I did. So just stop it. No killing,
And no fire?
Yes!
Wow, that's weird. But I'm the good guy.
Yes, you are the good guy. Now put down the knife and the gasoline and let your son go.
But you have to be punished for not having a relationship with me.
Why?
Because you'd have to be evil to not want a relationship with someone like me.